Hello there. I'm Keel Sterling Beatmaker, and on this episode of the Monday Mindset, we're going to discuss love has many deterrents. Just because the message may never be received does not mean it's not worth sending. Zagaki. Love is never easy, and the man who has decided to live in love is liable to find many barriers to his growth in love. But if he analyzes them carefully and astutely, he will be likely to discover that they are all artificial obstacles and mostly of his own making. In reality, they do not exist. Dr. Leo. Individuals allow mind parasites to stunt their growth in love. Excuse me, apologies. The mind parasites create barriers that obstruct critical thinking, rationality, and produce emotional unbalance, leading individuals to become infected by the mind parasite, producing self inflicted wounds on the mind, body, and spirit through cognitive distractions. These cognitive distractions are amplified by the mind parasites and lead individuals towards decisions, actions, words that will do much more harm upon themselves and potentially others. Individuals must master the art of living as to be willfully and disciplined enough to carefully and astutely analyze the mind parasite's origin to clear away to clear away the obstructed areas of the mind and allow for clear rationality, focused critical thinking skills, and emotional balance. Individuals must be reassured and self-aware of themselves in order to overcome the infection of the mind parasite. If we take the risk, it is true that we may be rejected, but we must also remember that all men are also prospective friends and lovers. Dr. Leo. No risk, no reward. That is a true statement in regards to love. We tend to look at rejection as punishment, rather than viewing it as a learning experience that can shape our perspective towards how we love and who we love, either friends or lovers. Rejection is part of the art of living. If we learn how to embrace the rejected, if we learn how to embrace and be rejected, we learn to value the lesson we learned from said rejection. We learn to keep our feet planted in the ground and not buckle, never allowing rejection to take away from our emotional well being or disturbing the momentum in our lives. As Bruce Lee once said, be like water. Welcome to Ronin Art and Music. I wish to introduce everyone to my new Teespring page, where you can purchase designs featuring Ronin Art and Music, the Monday Mindset, or Ronin Thoughts. Head over to Teespring and search Ronin Art and Music, or head over to my Etsy page at Ronin Art and Music, where you can purchase photography postcards, motivational postcards, and hard copies of my debut album, True Colors. If you enjoy the merchandise, products, or content created by Ronin Art and Music, please take time to subscribe to my Patreon page at Ronin Art and Music. This is the best way to show continued support and join Clan Ronin, where you will have a hands-on impact on all things Ronin Art and Music. Stay positive, stay focused, stay true, and much love. As Bruce Lee once said, be like water, end quote. Allow yourself to flow through the rejection, absorbing the experience as it is. The art of living. We tend to suspect man of evil more readily than of good. The evil about him makes the news media, the good news seldom does. Dr. Leo. We live in a climate that looks for evil in individuals and the world more than the good, and the media will monetize and exploit said evils without even taking the time to thoroughly understand the cause and effects. The media will misrepresent and manipulate said evils to further boost their claims and deepen the purge or their agenda, regardless of the consequences that will come, as long as the evil has driven their cause. Propaganda pays the bills. The media will continue its perversion, and society will ingest and enable it. They will often search for evil in the good of man, for no good in their eyes can truly be genuine. Such a mentality has spread within our culture, relationships, and interactions. This pandemic has intensified such mentalities and behaviors that it is becoming increasingly difficult to find the good in individuals without suspicion of ulterior motives. By allowing political parties, racial tension, and abuses has blinded our society's ability to see or even search for the good in man and his actions. People seem to enjoy the sensational and find some pleasure in revulsion. Dr. Leo. We are now living in a climate and culture and society that is addicted to fear, addicted to this perpetuating cycle of despair and condemnation and hypocrisy. It's it's at times, to be honest with you, it's quite funny to look at it. But we have to be honest here, it is disgusting. It's unfortunate seeing people consumed by fear to the point where they're putting their own lives at risk, to the point that they're putting others' lives at risk, to the point where they're harassing, doxing. This fear has generated this hunger of power and has allowed people to thrive within this. Bless you, Pablo. You good, man? All right. And it's just I don't know how to feel about it because every day I see it. I see this fear, the manipulation, the lies, and I'm not going to get into certain words and phrases just to keep it simple and keep my content. Because let's be honest, certain words and phrases right now will get you in trouble. Will get the fear addicts rustling and bustling. And I'm not here to I'm not gonna get into all the political stuff and the health stuff and all that. Um, but I want to get into about this the fear of it. And I'm not gonna use certain phrases and words because anyone who's listening, you know what I'm talking about. You know what's going on. You're living through it in real time. I don't need to get into all of it because that's not what we're here for. But what we need to talk about is how this fear is killing people emotionally, physically, spiritually. This fear is driving wedges between family relationships, and it's just destroying things in real time. And I don't even want to use the word destroy, but we're seeing that. We're seeing people's lives be destroyed by this fear. We're seeing communities become divided and disintegrate within, not this, you know, ingest themselves. They're eating themselves apart. We're seeing it worldwide. And it hurts to see this because, you see people, speaking out about this fear and, trying to tell people to wake up from this addiction to the fear, to, to just to cut it off cold turkey, but they can't. You know, fear has been amplified within our culture and used against us for so many generations and for so many purposes. And it's getting to the point where fear is costing lives and communities and employment and people's ability to have livelihoods and people's ability to celebrate, to have freedom of thought, expression, religion, identity. And and how are we as human beings willing to enable this and allow it and be complicit? How many of us are complicit in this fear? And I don't know what we can do about it. I don't have any of the answers. I'm just a humble Ronin. I'm just, you know, I'm trying to navigate it like everybody else, and stay positive and stay focused and stay true. But it's getting harder and harder. People are falling victim to complacency. People are falling victim to the fear, losing their identity due to it. And you know, the reason why I'm feeling about this right now is because I just had a conversation with someone who was gave in to the fear and now is injured by the fear. And I knew what was going to happen, and I begged them to not give in to the fear, to take a second and think about themselves, their health, their longevity, their long-term goals. And now it seems like all of that may be gone. I hope not, but I don't know. And the reason why I'm talking about it is because they lashed out at me and were blaming me for them circumstances. And this is prior to me knowing what they're going through. Um, but now it makes sense why they were lashing out with their fear. And I'll be honest, I'm sad. I feel bad and I'm sad because I didn't want this. I didn't want this for them, for anybody. I didn't want anybody to give in to the fear, to be manipulated by it, to be indoctrinated by this fear. Bless you, Pop. Oh, you all right, Pops? You good? You okay? All right. I didn't want anyone to be indoctrinated by this fear. And I'm just sad for them. I really am. I want to be with them. But, all we can do is move forward. Um, and stay positive as best as we can, and pray and hope that they will recover and get better. That people will start wising up to this fear, and understanding that this fear is unnecessary, and that it's destroying our way of life, our abilities to be free, to be individuals. And I don't know what that means long term. And I'm hoping that I'm hoping that as people start waking up from this fear, and and as I like to put it, stop drinking the Kool-Aid, that maybe we'll see some change and accountability to the fear that has been promoted and thrust upon us, abused and just tortured with it. Uh, I can't keep going on to it. It frustrates me and it makes me sad and upset because individuals are addicted to fear. Man learns evil in the same manner in which he learns good. If he believes in the world of evil, he will respond suspiciously, fearfully, and be constantly searching for and certainly finding the evil he sees. If, on the other hand, he believes in a world of good, he will remain confident, trusting, vulnerable, and hopeful. Dr. Leo, we are products of our environment. If an individual's environment is built upon a topography of cruelty and evil, they may embrace such evil as a worldwide view, suspicious of others' perspectives and views, fearful of individuals' intentions and motives, constantly searching for the evil in the world and others, often finding the evil they seek without realizing at times such evil is fabricated, exacerbated within their own conscious and subconscious, exploited by social media, culture, governments, intelligence that thrives on such pervasive behaviors, leading to a life surrounded by paranoia, filled with fear and traumatized by the unknown. To discern only the evil in the world and live willingly in its shadow is to set up another obstacle to love, Dr. Leo. To only see the evil in the world is only see pain in love. Individuals never allow themselves a chance to truly embrace love, for they are suspicious of the motivation and individual's intention. They would rather sabotage potential love in the hopes of avoiding pain. But in the essential reality, they inflict even more pain upon themselves, their ability to love, and the individual. Such selfishness is the climate of modern day relationships. He is often taught from an early age that that his very survival depends upon his ability to destroy. Let me repeat that. He is often taught from an early age that his very survival depends upon his ability to destroy. Dr. Leo. It's a dog eat dog world out there, ladies and gentlemen. Dog eat dog. So the saying goes. Society has bred individuals to apply this to their relationships. Individuals are often too quick to destroy when things become tough or unpredictable, rather than see things through. Individuals will self destruct in order to preserve themselves, their motives, or ego. We will commend such behavior as being independent or protecting ourselves, when in actuality, such behavior is self destructive, abusive, and narcissistic. In fact, it is made to seem as if destroyers are those who actually thrive in the culture. Dr. Leo. Social media has allowed for the destroyers to become the influencers of our relationships, goals, and desires, to determine how individuals breathe, eat, and think. This has caused a cascading effect of disillusionment, self sabotage, tribalism, and headache. Individuals will proudly showcase their destruction in the hopes of achieving clout, praise, and validation. The culture of destroyers, masquerading as influencers, has created irreparable damage. Crazy. Sorry. Such damage to society, politics, culture, and mindset. How do we reverse or heal from such damages and tribalism? Man is happiest when he is creating. In fact, the highest state of which man is capable lies in the creative. Love always creates, it never destroys us. And this lies man's only promise. Dr. Leo. When individuals love themselves, they create a world that loves them back. When individuals choose to create a world built upon foundations of love, those foundations will never collapse, no matter the storms, destruction, or turbulence that may approach. The foundations of love will always remain, no matter the scars, wear, and tear that individuals experience. The art of living will forever strengthen the foundations of love through creative expression, no matter their form it takes. Welcome to Ronin Art and Music. I wish to introduce everyone to my new Teespring page, where you can purchase designs featuring Ronin Art and Music, the Monday Mindset, or Ronin Thoughts. Head over to Teespring and search Ronin Art and Music, or head over to my Etsy page at Ronin Art and Music, where you can purchase photography postcards, motivational postcards, and hard copies of my debut album, True Colors. If you enjoy the merchandise, products, or content created by Ronin Art and Music, please take time to subscribe to my Patreon page at Ronin Art and Music. This is the best way to show continued support and join Clan Ronin, where you will have a hands-on impact on all things Ronin Art and Music. Stay positive, stay focused, stay true, and much love. There are a few individuals who have the power to stop prejudice, universal poverty, or world wars. But this is not the question. The only question we can just ask ourselves is, what can I do? Dr. Leo. Individuals don't ask, what can I do? They rather ask, what can you do for me? I mean, we find ourselves in a world where we never do anything. Well, I shouldn't say that, but we live in a world that promotes doing things for clout or for fans or doing it for the tribe. Um, we never do anything, not everyone, but we're living in a society that's teaching people to only do things for their tribe or for their clique, or for clout. How many of those social media influencers and YouTubers have we seen, giving money to the poor or dropping, a load of cash or an iPhone in front of them and they pick it up and be like, "Hey, this is yours." And then they're like, "Oh no, it's yours." We've seen so much of that. And you know, it's really, to me personally, it's kind of disgusting. I'll be honest. I know they're trying to be good and help, but it's just performance art. It's performancism. Who are you really helping? It's all for you. It validates your ego. It validates um, whatever bad things or guilt that you're feeling, that you need to justify it. And doing these kind of performance charities are one way of doing it. And it doesn't have to be these big YouTubers and influencers and celebrities and politicians. It can just be regular people, doing similar stuff, but it's not genuine. They're not doing it for out of the goodness of their heart or because it's the right thing to do. They're doing it because they hope to get something from it or something down the line. It's no different than people on social media that will go out and dox people because of their political views or social views, and even that type of behavior. It's not, you're not doing anything to help society. You're not doing anything to help people. You're hurting people, and those types of actions have ripple effects. And I just don't see how we can escape this cycle, because it's so perpetuated in our culture, in our movies and TV shows and YouTube videos and what have you. Um, it's even affecting the way people have healthy relationships. Um, Excuse me. Oh, that's you. Sorry about that. But yeah, it's even affecting the way people have healthy relationships with family, friends, lovers. It's always about, what can you do for me? How can you validate me? Um, and it's becoming so toxicating, and people are using that, as, because you're not doing, because how can I word this? Since I'm asking you what you can do for me and you're not doing it, I'm going to lash out. I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to manipulate you. I'm going to act like this. And it can be friends, family, politicians, you have it. And it's just this cycle. And you see it from the red pill crew, you see it from the feminist crew, you see it from the woke crew. You see it in the far right wing crew. You see it in these far left progressive crews. I mean, it's all over the place. None of their actions are genuine. They're not doing it for a society, for the community, for the country. um, they're doing it for their own base, for their own validation, for their own wallets and pocketbooks. It has nothing to do with, what can I do. It has nothing to do with doing it because it's right and it's the just thing to do. um and I don't know how people, I mean, I really don't know how people can live like that. I don't know how people can behave like that and think it's okay and justify. I really don't. I don't think I can understand it, even if they explain it to me. And we've seen, hot mic takes and messages and whatnot of these people, saying the quiet part out loud. And even then, it's like, how are we supposed to feel? They obviously don't care. So are we supposed to? How angry can we get that it will do anything? Because it won't. you know it's it's no different than a hydra. You can cut one off and then another one will replace it. They've kind of set up the system like that. Unfortunately. But I always say, it's bigger than me, and that is how I choose to view the world I live in. And I always say that because anytime I've any big decision I make or any action that I make that involves more than just me, it's bigger than me. It has implications to the world, to the community. It doesn't have to mean overnight. It could happen 10 years from now, 30 years from now, 100 years from now, you know. But I say that because, when you kind of go into any kind of situation or decision with the mentality that it's bigger than me, you start realizing how each action that you make, each decision that you make, it has implications for everyone around you. And I think that that's something that we do not value, we do not teach, and we do not understand. And that type of mentality is being eroded, and I don't know how we get it back. because you've seen so many people lash out, act out in so many different manners, and the ripple effects that it has on so many people, or even a generation, or even a town, or a state, or a country. And, sometimes the circumstances tend to actually be bigger than us, or smaller than what we interpreted or understand. Um, and that's why I kind of think that by kind of keeping in the mindset of that it's bigger than me, you realize and you start being more self-aware of what your actions are and how they can be interpreted. Actions, words, decisions, perspectives. um and I think it is really crucial that we understand that everything that we say and do, it will affect somebody, it will inspire somebody. um and that doesn't always mean for a good reason, and it doesn't always have to be on purpose, it can be inadvertently. And those are things that we need to keep in mind. That's why, with for example, with my podcast, like with the things I say and share and speak, I understand that everything I say can be misinterpreted, it can be influenced, it can be manipulated, and I understand that. And that's why I try to speak honestly and genuine, so that it makes it harder for people to do things like that. And I want people to also keep in mind that these are also my perspectives and how I view things. And I want people to take them, absorb them, digest them, and filter them and take what works for them and toss out what doesn't. Because everything I say is not for just, it's not set in stone. It will evolve and change as I evolve and change, as we all evolve and change. And that's why also with this podcast and with ice and what I say, I realize that it's bigger than me. And I try to be positive, and I try not to, you know, go down too many rabbit holes, and try not to be, mean. I think constructive criticism is important, and there'll be some humor and poking fun and things like that, but never to hurt anyone. I that's not my style, and that's not the kind of person I am. And that's why I say it's bigger than me, because to the countless people out there who have podcasts, who are social media influencers, you name it, your actions and words, they inspire, they manipulate, they coerce in positive and negative ways. And that's just the essential reality that we live in, and we need to be self-aware of that. And you're seeing some people become self-aware of that, and you're seeing others who don't care, and you're seeing others who are complacent. And it's unfortunate, but if we can acknowledge that and see that and be self-aware of it, and not give in to the programming, the propaganda, the manipulation, the coercion of such types of behavior and words and action that we see from the political atmosphere, the social atmosphere, the influencer atmosphere, the content creator atmosphere, you name it, it's out there. But if we understand that even if they're saying things that are inaccurate, that are offensive, that are controversial, whatever it is, if we are aware that, man, what they're saying, it has cascading effect, it can affect a lot of people. But if we are aware of, okay, well, you know what, they're speaking in hateful words, or they're speaking in resentful terms, or they're speaking in propaganda, or they're trying to manipulate the way I think and feel. If you are aware of that, then it's easier for you to be like, oh, okay, he's talking out his ass right now. That's why it smells so funky in the room. So, you just have to keep in mind about that when it's bigger than me, because whoever you listen to, whoever you watch, movies, TV shows, podcasts, the books, comics, whatever you have it, people watching, bird watching, just realize that whatever they do, it's bigger than you. It's no different than, the drunk driver. It's no different than, unfortunately, a school shooter. It's no different than the husband who cheats on his wife, or the wife who cheats on her husband, or whatever it is. All those kinds of decisions, all of them, even the positive ones, they all have cascading effects, and we just need to be aware of them. And sometimes we also have to be aware that we're human and we're going to make these mistakes. Some of them, unfortunately, by choice, some of them not by choice. And that's also why I'm always reminded that it's bigger than me, because these things happen. And as long as you're aware of it, and you take accountability for what you're saying, for what your actions, what you're doing, and own up to it if the bill comes due. And that's why, for me, this podcast is inspired and built on being better than yesterday, being the best version of yourself. And that also means knowing that it's bigger than you, that you are a pretty small pebble in this big, big pond. um, and humble yourself in that regard, because I always say that the short-term victories pave way for the long-term victories, and that comes with life and the art of living. you know when it's bigger than me, when I realize that, and I take my time with things, and I'm disciplined with my words, and I'm reflective about what I'm going to say and what I'm going to do. you know it may take longer, it may be harder, um, it may be more challenging, but those short term victories pave way for a long lasting victory of self actualization and personhood, stronger integrity, stronger confidence, better self awareness. Those to me are the building blocks, and what are crucial to understanding that it's bigger than you, bigger than any of us. That we are all conscious beings along for this ride, and we have to be self-aware that we are all conscious and we're all going to make mistakes, and that it's all bigger than us. So everything that we do when we interact with one another, we have to remember that those interactions, they can affect other people. That's why I always make sure to call the cashiers and the waiters and waitresses by their names. I make sure to say thank you. I make sure to acknowledge that they are human, that they are a person, because we all are, and we need that, because it's bigger than all of us. When change confronts man, he often uses the excuses that he's too old to change, too old to learn. Dr. Leo. Individuals create excuses regarding change for when they are afraid, because change requires accountability, self awareness, and mindfulness. And as I was saying earlier, acknowledgement that it's bigger than you. And we are afraid of that. Society is afraid of that. There are so many people that will not take the necessary steps towards change because they don't want to hold themselves accountable for their mistakes, for their inactions, their inadequacies, their faults, their weaknesses, their ego. I mean, take your pick. And because people don't want to change, they don't want to evolve, they don't want to learn, they choose to live life the hard way. And you've met all those people. We've met them. They're miserable all the time. They're mean. They're always sulking. They're always playing the victim. They're always blaming everyone else. They make life difficult for everybody else, including themselves. You may be one of them listening right now. And hey, you have an opportunity to change your thought process, to change you view the world. It's going to take time, and it's going to take doing the things you don't like. Accountability, self awareness, and mindfulness. There are a lot of people in this world who don't like those perspectives, those views. They don't like that. You're seeing plenty of that during this pandemic, that's for sure. Come on now. Don't kid yourselves. We see it. We see people cheering on the death of people who don't, you know, who don't. Try to be careful with my words here, but you get what I mean. They don't take the government medical advice, and it costs them their life, and they promote it and they celebrate it. They want people to die. They want people to get hurt. How often do we have that? I think I said that in last episode that, you know, people out there don't want us to succeed. They will say things to downplay our success. And people do that when it comes to not wanting to change, when it not comes to self-awareness. When they see other people doing that, when they see other people becoming self-aware, and practicing accountability and mindfulness, they get upset. They get annoyed, agitated. It's no different than someone, spitting propaganda in your face, and all you're doing is speaking facts followed with data and sources. Like I said, some people just don't like to hear that kind of stuff. They don't want to. It's no different than acknowledging, hey man, like I care for you, but or girl, you need to start taking better care of yourself. You need to start taking your vitamins. You need to start eating better. You need to start going to sleep on time. That's something I'm struggling with. So that's why I brought that up. You need to do those things, and people get upset. They get upset when you start addressing them and holding them accountable and being like, hey, you need to get your shit together. Pardon my English. You need to take care of yourself. And people don't want to do that nowadays. They don't want to take care of themselves. They don't want to take those necessary steps because they expect the government to do it for them. They expect social media to do it for them. And I don't know how some people, we can't help them. You can't change some people. Better yet, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And that is a lesson that I have been struggling to learn, and I'm finally accepting it. And with everything I'm trying to say here is that, the amount of excuses and victim blaming people put on themselves for not taking the necessary steps to hold themselves accountable, to be more self-aware, to practice mindfulness. I don't know how they choose. I don't know how they're going to move forward. I don't know how they're going to adapt to this brave, strange new world. Better yet, it's just a strange new world. Ain't brave. um, if you haven't read the book, please read it, and then go on Twitter, go on CNN, and you'll be like, "Huh, alrighty then." But all I'm saying is that if we keep on allowing excuses to live our lives, we're never going to grow. We're never going to get better. We're never going to become self aware. We're never going to become self actualized. And I want everyone to become self actualized. I want everyone to succeed in their goals and dreams. I cheer for people who succeed. I cheer for people who take the necessary steps to be a better human, be better physically, mentally. You know, we have to cheer them and support them. And even the people who acknowledge their mistakes and hold themselves accountable, we need to, commend them and learn from them and lead by that example. And it's important, you know, to live life as a lesson learned and to lead by example. Each day, we are offered new means for learning and growing in love. Each day in which we become more observant, more flexible, more knowledgeable, more aware, we grow in love. Dr. Leo. The art of living offers learning and growth in love. For each day of practice in the art of living offers the opportunity to become more observant in your surroundings, perspectives, and experiences. Flexible in your abilities to handle unpredictable circumstances, criticism, and life changes. More knowledgeable in your self awareness and the world you inhabit. This culminates into strengthening one's abilities to grow while changing how they learn in love. Finally, a great deterrent to love is found in anyone who fears change. For as suggested above, growing, learning, experiencing is change. Change is inevitable. There is only one thing of which you can be certain, and that is change. To deny change is to deny the very single reality. Attitudes change, feelings change, desires change, especially love changes. There is no stopping it, no holding it back, and there is only going with it. Deterrence to love is man made. Love will not be deterred. Love flows like the river, always itself, ever changing, recognizing no obstacles. Dr. Leo. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Monday Mindset. To learn more about myself and how you can support the Monday Mindset, head over to my Patreon page at Ronin Art and Music. That's Ronin Art and Music. If you're interested in reaching out, follow me on social media. On Twitter, Ronin Art and Music, or at me at Kios Ronin, KioosRonin. On Instagram, follow me at RoninArt_music. And if you prefer to email, hit me up at themondaymindset009@gmail.com. That's themondaymindset009@gmail.com, and that is all lowercase. If you're listening to this on your preferred streaming service, please make sure to subscribe. If you're listening on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment and a review, and slap that notification bell. On Apple Podcasts, please make sure to subscribe, rate the podcast, and leave a review, as this will help me and the podcast grow. Stay positive, stay focused, stay true, and much love. Welcome to Ronin Art and Music. I wish to introduce everyone to my new Teespring page, where you can purchase designs featuring Ronin Art and Music, the Monday Mindset, or Ronin Thoughts. Head over to Teespring and search Ronin Art and Music, or head over to my Etsy page at Ronin Art and Music, where you can purchase photography postcards, motivational postcards, and hard copies of my debut album, True Colors. If you enjoy the merchandise, products, or content created by Ronin Art and Music, please take time to subscribe to my Patreon page at Ronin Art and Music. This is the best way to show continued support and join Clan Ronin, where you will have a hands-on impact on all things Ronin Art and Music. Stay positive, stay focused, stay true, and much love.